Hello and welcome to the Toshogu Podcast, where we break down the latest news, breakthroughs, and ideas shaping the future of artificial intelligence. Today, we are looking at a massive shift happening right now across the AI landscape. The realization that raw, unchecked intelligence just isn't the ultimate goal anymore. Instead, the real race is about who can build the safest, most controllable systems to actually execute useful work. Let's begin.
You know, it really is a fascinating pivot for the entire industry. I mean, for the last few years, the market has been totally obsessed with just one primary metric, right? Like, how smart is the model?
Right.
We've been treating raw cognitive horsepower as the ultimate finish line. But suddenly, the top tier of the industry is hitting this massive operational wall.
Yeah.
They're discovering that being incredibly smart is actually becoming a severe liability if you don't have the infrastructure to steer or, govern that intelligence.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we are seeing this exact tension play out right now at the very top of the food chain, starting with OpenAI. They have this upcoming model, Astra, and the internal evaluations are showing some wild progress.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about serious advancements in agentic coding and cybersecurity. And it's gotten to the point where they actually can't rule out that Astra is approaching what their Preparedness Framework calls the critical cyber capability threshold.
Right, which is a huge deal.
But before we go further, hold on. I'm a bit lost on the terminology here.
Yeah.
What does critical actually mean mechanically? Like, how does a piece of software cross that line?
That is the exact right question to ask, because critical isn't just a buzzword. It's a very specific, highly severe engineering designation within their safety framework.
Okay.
When a model operates below that threshold, it functions mostly as like a hyper-competent assistant. You ask it to write a Python script, it writes it.
Makes sense.
You ask it to find a bug in some code, it finds it. But when it reaches the critical threshold in cyber capabilities, it crosses this line from being a passive tool into being a highly autonomous actor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Mechanically speaking, a critical model could potentially be given a broad goal like, say, gain access to the server, and it would be able to independently scan for vulnerability.
Without you telling it how.
Exactly. It can write custom exploit code for a zero-day flaw, deploy the payload, and just execute a multi-step attack plan, all with minimal to zero human guidance.
So it literally stops being a calculator and starts being an independent hacker.
Precisely. It is operating with agency. It can evaluate failure, rewrite its own approach, and try again without you ever prompting it.
And because it's crossing that line, OpenAI has actually had to hit the brakes.
Yeah, they have.
They've paused internal Astra activities that just don't meet these new, heavily strengthened security requirements. They're locking it down, right? Mandating isolated testing, network and tool restrictions, incredibly tight monitoring, and sandboxing. They basically had to stop the music and say, wait, we need a thicker vault before we keep building this thing.
That's a great way to put it.
It makes me think of engineering a Formula One car. For a long time, all these companies were just trying to build the fastest, most powerful engine possible.
What? Just pure horsepower.
Exactly. That's the model, just pure unadulterated horsepower. But now, OpenAI is looking at this massive screaming engine they've built and realizing it is completely useless and honestly incredibly dangerous if you don't have the brakes, the steering, the suspension, and the chassis to actually keep it on the track.
That is a brilliant analogy. You just cannot sell a 1,000-horsepower engine to a standard driver without a world-class braking and traction control system.
That would be a disaster.
Right. And the engineering reality right now is that capability containment is actively becoming an engineering bottleneck. The frontier of what the AI can do is pushing so hard against the physical boundaries of safety that the safety systems are actually slowing down the deployment of the intelligence.
But then we look across the street at Anthropic, and they seem to be moving in the exact opposite direction.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
With their Fable 5 model, specifically in the biology space, they're actually loosening their safeguards. They reduced their biology-related false positive fallbacks by about 85%, which sounds like a massive number.
It is massive.
But mechanically, how do you actually tune a safety filter to be that precise without accidentally letting the genuinely dangerous stuff slip through? What is the system actually looking at differently now?
Well, it requires a fundamental shift in how the safety layer processes information. In older models, safety filters were largely heuristic or, keyword-based.
Just looking for red flags.
Exactly. If a user prompt contained words like synthesize or pathogen or specific genetic sequencing terms, the filter would just trip like a circuit breaker and refuse the request entirely.
That sounds super annoying for actual scientists.
It was. That is why they had so many false positives. Legitimate university researchers doing standard biological data analysis or looking at protein folding were getting constantly blocked by this hypersensitive, overly simplistic filter.
Because the AI didn't understand the context, it just saw a scary word.
Exactly. So what Anthropic did to achieve that 85% reduction was vastly improve the semantic understanding of their classifiers.
Oh, okay.
The safety layer now analyzes the genuine intent and the complex scientific context of the prompt, rather than just scanning for red flag vocabulary.
That makes a little more sense. Right.
It allows them to widen the legitimate day-to-day use of Fable 5 for standard biology researchers. But here is the crucial part. They still take the genuinely high-risk, deeply complex stuff, things like virology, toxicology, and novel molecular design.
The dangerous stuff.
Yes. And they route those specific queries securely to their heavier, much more restricted Opus 5 model.
So they're sorting it in real time.
What's fascinating here is that while OpenAI and Anthropic look like they are moving in opposite directions on the surface, OpenAI is pausing and restricting, while Anthropic is refining and opening up. They are actually reacting to the exact same market shift.
How so?
They are both revealing that the frontier of this industry is no longer just the neural network itself. The new product layer is what we call the capability access system.
Let's define that for everyone listening. What exactly makes up a capability access system?
Think of it as the entire security and routing apparatus that surrounds the raw brain of the AI. It's the intent classifiers we just talked about. It's the identity checks verifying who is actually asking the question.
Right.
It is the sandboxing that traps the AI's output, the tiered access routing queries to different models based on risk, and the continuous monitoring of the AI's behavior. The AI model is just a brain in a jar.
And the access system.
The capability access system is the nervous system that decides what that brain is actually allowed to touch in the real world.
Which brings us to a massive logical pivot. Because if the model creators themselves are realizing they need these robust control systems just to test their own products, well, it makes perfect sense that enterprise cloud providers are stepping in to build those exact environments for their commercial clients.
That is the natural evolution of the market. I mean, if we look at what AWS is doing right now, they are proving that autonomous agents are no longer just cool tech demos running on a developer's laptop.
Right. They're getting real jobs.
Exactly. They are moving into highly governed, real-world production patterns. They recently published case studies that perfectly illustrate the shift toward a durable execution architecture.
Let's look at one of those case studies. Cohere Health. They are using Amazon Bedrock Agent Core to take incredibly dense clinical policies and turn them into structured, machine-readable data. But they aren't just letting an AI loose in their database to figure it out. They are using highly secure micro-VM isolation. And again, I want to play the proxy for anyone confused here. I know what a sandbox is, and I know what a standard database permission is.
Sure.
What exactly makes a micro-VM different? And why is a healthcare company relying on that specific architecture?
The distinction is vital when we are talking about autonomous agents. A standard database permission just checks if a user or an AI has the right password to look at a file.
How do I get bounced at a door?
Exactly. And a standard sandbox is an isolated testing environment. But an agent with persistent memory is a live, acting piece of software. If it gets compromised or if it hallucinates and goes off the rails, standard permissions might still let it roam within certain boundaries.
Which is bad.
Very bad. A micro VM or a micro virtual machine means that when the AI agent is assigned a task, the AWS infrastructure instantly spins up a tiny, temporary, completely walled-off digital room.
Like a secure bubble.
Yes. The AI enters the bubble, performs its specific clinical data task, and the absolute millisecond the task is finished, that room is completely destroyed.
Wow, just wiped out.
Evaporated. The runtime environment ceases to exist. The AI physically cannot access the broader network because the bridge is burned the moment the job is done.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
And Cohere Health is pairing that micro-VM isolation with gateway-controlled tools, persistent memory, reusable skills, and mandatory human review.
Yeah, it is a completely governed, airtight workflow.
And it's not just healthcare applying this structure. There's another group, Trends, using Bedrock alongside the Strands Agents SDK to detect production errors in software environments.
Oh, this specific use case is a total paradigm shift for software developers.
Yeah.
The AI isn't just a chatbot sitting in a window waiting for a question anymore. It is actively retrieving server logs, pulling source code, reading stack traces, investigating the root causes of server errors, and then delivering a highly structured analysis automatically.
That's wild.
And their next step on the roadmap is having the AI automatically create GitHub issues and draft pull requests to actually fix the bugs it finds.
Just imagine the mechanics of that. The AI finds a memory leak in the server, diagnoses the specific line of faulty code, drafts the repair, and submits the patch for approval before the human lead engineer has even poured their morning coffee.
It's incredible efficiency.
What this means for you, if you are running a business or managing a technical team, is that the era of conversational AI is evolving into operational AI. The system doesn't just talk to you, it does the work for you, safely, inside a secure environment. But I have to push back here because this raises a huge strategic question.
Okay, lay it on me.
If AWS is building all the runtime, the identity checks, the observability, the micro VM isolation layers, and the tool gateways, doesn't that just turn the AI model itself into an interchangeable, replaceable cog?
That's a great observation.
Like, are the big AI labs, the ones spending billions on raw intelligence, just going to be commoditized while AWS owns the actual execution machine?
The short answer is yes. That is absolutely the strategic implication here. AWS is aggressively positioning itself as the neutral, indispensable operating layer.
Interesting.
They are effectively saying to enterprise clients, bring whatever model you want, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, whoever happens to be the smartest today, but run it on our durable infrastructure.
Because the smartest model might change next Tuesday.
Exactly. Models leapfrog each other constantly. It's an arms race. But the governance layer, the security protocols, the micro VMs, the integration into your proprietary data, that is durable infrastructure.
Makes sense.
Enterprises buy durability. A bank or a hospital does not want to rebuild their entire security apparatus every time a new, slightly smarter model drops. So AWS builds the permanent chassis and you just swap out the engine whenever a better one comes along.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We've talked about heavily structured environments like server code and healthcare logs. Those are logical, rules-based systems.
Right.
But this shift from raw model to governed system is actively taking over the subjective, creative, and visual space, too.
It is, and that proves just how universal this architectural shift really is. You know, the visual domain used to be the Wild West of raw generation. You'd just type a prompt and hope for a pretty picture.
Yeah, lots of crossed fingers.
But we are seeing the exact same architectural maturity happening there. Look at XAI. They recently released Imagine Image 2.0, which acts as the new quality mode in Grok Imagine.
And they are loudly bragging that Image 2.0 ranks second on both the text-to-image and image editing arena leaderboards, which, is a great headline. But honestly, the raw capability of the model to draw a photorealistic cat isn't the real story here at all.
Not at all. The real story is the workflow surrounding the generation. XAI is not just launching another image generator to make novelty pictures.
Right.
Their true competitive target is Adobe and Canva-style workflow capture. They want to own the production process.
Because making one cool image is easy now. Any model can do that. But if you're building a brand or running a marketing team, generating one cool image is just a party trick.
Exactly.
The true pain point is editing it. It's when you have a phenomenal generated image for a campaign, but you need to change the logo on the coffee cup. In the past, with early AI, you asked it to fix the cup, and it completely changed the lighting, warped the background, and altered the person's face.
The lack of control made it entirely useless for professional production. But XAI attacked that exact problem by adding precise regional editing and segmentation-based editing.
And mechanically, what does segmentation-based editing actually mean?
Yeah.
How is the AI processing the image differently so it doesn't ruin the background?
Well, it means the AI doesn't just see a flat grid of pixels anymore. It mathematically understands the boundaries and the depth of the distinct objects in the scene. It maps out exactly where the coffee cup ends, where the table begins, and how the light hits both. Because it understands those semantic boundaries, you can tell the system, only touch this specific element and preserve the untouched areas completely.
Oh, that's huge.
Right. It swaps the cup without warping the wood grain of the table. They also added flawless background removal and, crucially, smart reframing across different aspect ratios.
Which is massive for social media managers. It means perfectly resizing a single asset for a 1x1 Instagram post, a 16:9 YouTube thumbnail, and a 9:16 TikTok video, all automatically, without losing the core composition of the subject.
Furthermore, they allow you to use up to 5 reference images in a single generation to lock in brand identity. Plus, they are providing ready-made production templates for product shots, user-generated content, editorial posters, headshots, and icons.
Because maintaining typography accuracy and brand consistency across 50 different images without having to rewrite your prompt 50 times, that is an actual business.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows us that raw image generation is rapidly becoming basic infrastructure. It's becoming a commodity, just like text generation.
Yeah.
The real monetizable value is migrating toward repeatable creative systems and production speed. As a brand, you have to ask, can your AI reliably produce a usable, brand-compliant social asset in fewer iterations than your current human workflow?
And if it can't, it's useless.
Exactly. If it can't, the raw intelligence of the model literally doesn't matter.
It all comes back to predictability.
Yeah.
The chaos of prompt engineering where you cross your fingers and hope the AI gives you what you want is being replaced by systematic, governed production rules.
Exactly. And this perfectly ties all 3 of our core discussions together today.
Yeah.
Whether it's OpenAI locking down autonomous cyber capabilities in a vault, AWS building isolated, exploding micro VMs for healthcare data, or XAI building segmentation templates for brand consistency, the entire market is moving aggressively from a model race to an execution architecture.
So we're officially moving from the era of who is the smartest to the era of who can actually get things done safely and reliably.
Right. And we can actually outline this new architectural framework into 3 distinct stacking layers.
Okay, lay it out for us.
If you are designing products, leading an engineering team, or just trying to understand where the technology is heading, this is exactly how you need to view the modern AI stack. Layer 1 at the foundation is intelligence.
This is the raw model, the engine.
Yes, the frontier models from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, they will just keep improving, getting faster, and getting smarter. But layer 2, sitting directly on top of that, is control.
The brakes.
Yes, this is the safety classifiers, the permissions, the monitoring, the micro VM isolation, and the human oversight checkpoints. This layer determines what the raw intelligence is actually allowed to touch.
The brakes, the steering wheel, and the chassis.
Exactly. And finally, layer 3 at the very top is execution. This is where the agents actually perform real tasks across tools, files, APIs, and business systems to deliver a final business outcome.
Intelligence, control, execution.
Got it. And what we are seeing across the board is that the strategic moat, the specific thing that makes a software company truly valuable and incredibly hard to compete against, has moved upward.
Up the stack.
Exactly. The moat is no longer just the raw model at the bottom. The moat is the system at the top that converts that intelligence into dependable, repeatable work.
So what does this all mean? If I'm a founder or a product lead listening to this right now, building my roadmap for the next 12 months, is my biggest mistake spending too much time trying to find the absolute smartest AI model rather than just building a vastly better control layer for the one I already have?
I would say absolutely. The key recommendation across the board from every major signal we are seeing is that you must build the control layer before you add more autonomy to your product.
Makes sense.
The market is validating a very specific, very powerful principle right now. Bounded AI execution paired with human intent is far more credible and far more valuable to an enterprise than unlimited autonomy.
Because unlimited autonomy is terrifying to a chief compliance officer.
Yeah.
Nobody wants an AI that can just decide to rewrite the payroll database.
Exactly. So if you are building an AI product, the actionable design rule you need to implement today is this. Every single autonomous action in your product should be explicitly classified into one of 3 categories.
Okay, what are they?
It must be reversible, reviewable, or restricted.
I really love that framework. Reversible, reviewable, or restricted. It's essentially the exact same logic as a corporate credit card policy.
How do you mean?
Think about it. A $50 team lunch is reviewable. The employee spends the money, and the finance department checks the receipt later.
Right.
A $500 software subscription is reversible. If it was a mistake, you can log in, cancel it, and get a refund. But a $50,000 wire transfer to an offshore vendor, that is restricted. To executives have to physically turn their keys at the exact same time before that money leaves the building.
That is a perfect translation of the concept. If the AI agent drafts a client email, that's reviewable. A human can quickly read it before hitting send.
Mm-hmm.
If the AI changes a line of code in a non-production testing environment, that is reversible. You can easily roll the server back to the previous version. But if the AI wants to delete a production database or access secure patient files or send money, that is restricted.
Hard stop.
Yes. It physically cannot proceed without an explicit human approval key.
You are intentionally building controlled intelligence into the core product story. You're telling your enterprise users, look, we have the smartest AI engine available, but much more importantly, we know exactly when it is allowed to act independently and when a human must make the final decision.
Because as the underlying models become more and more capable, things like permissioning, monitoring, isolation, and human checkpoints become exponentially more valuable, not less.
Absolutely.
The next competitive advantage in the tech sector is not more AI, it is the more dependable execution of valuable work.
Which leaves us with a pretty intense strategic thought to chew on as we wrap up. If the entire enterprise market is realizing that the actual monetizable value lies in the control and execution layers, and that the underlying intelligence models should just be entirely replaceable, swappable cogs in the machine, what happens to the multi-billion-dollar valuations of the companies whose only product is that raw intelligence?
That's a huge question.
Right. If open source models eventually commoditize that bottom intelligence layer, will the workflow, infrastructure, and governance builders be the only ones left holding a truly profitable business? It is definitely something to think about as you build your own stack and place your own bets on the future of this industry. That's all for today's episode of the Toshogu Podcast. If you enjoyed it, like this episode, subscribe, and join us next time for the latest in AI. Until then, keep building what outlives you.